After my girlfriend went bankrupt, she owed a lot of money. To pay off these debts, we both worked part-time jobs after work every day. Once, by chance, I received an urgent order to deliver a document. When I arrived at the destination, a man opened the door. He turned and called out his girlfriend's name, Mandy Thompson. "The document you needed urgently is here." I originally thought it was just a coincidence in names. Never would I have imagined that the next second, my girlfriend's voice came from inside the house. "Okay, tell the delivery guy to buy a few more boxes of these for us." The next second, an empty condom box was thrown at the man's feet. Mandy Thompson went bankrupt. To help her pay off her debts, I took all the designer watches and priceless antiques Mandy Thompson had given me when we were dating and cashed them in at auctions. I also threw in all the savings I had accumulated over the years to fill the hole. But we still owed more than $800,000. Now, after work every day, we both work part-time jobs. During the day, I work as a salesman in a luxury fashion store, and she hands out flyers on the street. At night, I work as a delivery guy, and she works as a ride-sharing driver. Today, I received an order to pick up a document for the boss at a company. The client was very generous and willing to give me an extra $1,000 as a tip. The only requirement was that the delivery speed had to be fast. When I received this order, I was still waiting by the roadside for the lady at the pancake stand to make a pancake. I was so hungry today that I splurged on a $12 deluxe pancake to treat myself. But when I saw the client's message, I immediately hopped on my scooter and rushed to the designated location. While waiting for the secretary to bring the document down at the company, I took the time to share the good news with Mandy Thompson. "Jenny, I made over $1,000 today. Didn't you say you wanted to eat barbecue ribs? Let's buy ribs tomorrow." The message sank without a trace. But I knew that Mandy Thompson must have picked up a customer at this time. To safely deliver the customer to their destination, she usually wouldn't reply to my messages. She would only open the messaging app and reply to my messages when she was free. This seemed to have become our unspoken agreement. I just reported to her, and when she was free, she would give me enough emotional support when she replied. We never complained about the injustice of fate. Even in the lowest moments, we just held each other's hands tightly, and as we watched the slowly rising sunlight outside the window, we secretly resolved to earn a lot of money. This time, the destination was a bit far, but thinking about the $1,000 tip, I was glad that I had snatched this order. When I arrived at the exclusive gated community, I was stopped by the security Uncle David at the gate. He looked at my scooter and said in a loud voice, "Outside vehicles are not allowed to enter the community." Seeing that the order was about to be overdue, I was anxious, but I also understood the security guard's implication. I parked my scooter on the side of the road, hugged the document tightly, and rushed into the exclusive gated community. After running to the destination, a man opened the door. He had a towel around his waist, and the strands of hair that were wet from the water at his temples and the crazy hickeys on his neck all told me what had just happened in the villa. He stood on the steps, crossed his arms, and leaned against the door frame. The scent on his body was the pleasant fragrance of gardenias. Seeming to be annoyed by the interruption, he opened his mouth impatiently. "You? What's the matter?" I handed over the document in my hand. "Hello. Your document has arrived." He took the document suspiciously, and after looking at the contents, he instantly understood. He casual. Ly flipped through the contents of the document bag. "This is my girlfriend's document." I took out my phone, opened the delivery interface, clicked to complete the order, and was about to turn around and leave, but he called out his girlfriend's name towards the house. "Mandy Thompson, the document you urgently needed has arrived." The person in the house quickly responded. "Bring it in for me. It's quite important. I need to use it for a meeting later." I'm going to take a shower first. The moment I heard the voice, I was completely stunned. This voice was too familiar, so familiar that I could even imagine the expression on the speaker's face. Before I could react, a box was thrown out from inside. Mandy, Thompson's voice came from inside again. By the way, tell the delivery guy to buy a few more boxes of these. The empty box rolled a few times on the ground and finally landed at the boy's feet. He bent down, picked up the box, and then threw the box at me. Please buy a few more boxes of these for us. We need them urgently. Oh right, I'm allergic to silicone oil. Remember to buy the hyaluronic acid ones. I'll give you an extra $2,000 tip when you buy them back. I stiffly lowered my head and saw the big words printed on the box. I only felt my throat tighten, and my breathing seemed to be strangled. It was already 2:30 in the morning when Mandy, Thompson returned to the apartment. I was sitting on the ground, treating the wound on my leg. Hearing the movement from the entrance, I didn't even raise my head. Mandy, Thompson didn't seem to expect why I wasn't asleep so late. Aren't you asleep yet? Perfect. You said you wanted to eat crawfish a few days ago. I bought 2 pounds back today. She walked to my side and put the crawfish in her hand aside. When her eyes touched the wounds on my knees and arms, she seemed a little flustered. You're injured? What happened? My tone was calm. I accidentally fell while delivering the order today. She took out a new cotton swab, sprayed some iodine on it, and carefully cleaned the wound for me. When I got a little closer to her, I could smell the fresh scent of her body wash, which was the same as the scent on the man who opened the door today. After running around doing part-time jobs all day, there wasn't even a hint of sweat on her body. Now, she was even neglecting to pretend so much. Did she think I was too easy to fool, or did she simply disdain to put on an act in front of me? After I left the exclusive gated community, several sports cars that looked expensive followed me. The rich young ladies sitting in the cars repeatedly tried to run me off the road. They seemed to be having fun with it, and after watching me fall to the ground in embarrassment, they laughed and left. Of course, their conversation also entered my ears word for word. Will Jenny, be angry if we do this? You're thinking too much. How could she be angry with us because of this guy? What kind of person is Mandy, Thompson? How could she possibly like him? Besides, Dave Richardson has returned to the country, and Mandy, Thompson will break up with him sooner or later. Their cars drove further and further away, but their voices seemed to have a loudspeaker next to them, making me hear them very clearly. The stinging pain on my knees pulled me back to reality. I looked into Mandy, Thompson's eyes, trying to find the guilt in her eyes after lying to someone. Mandy, Thompson threw the cotton swab into the trash can. It seemed that I had said too little tonight, so she looked up suspiciously. What's wrong with you tonight? Why aren't you saying anything? She leaned closer to me, and only then did she realize that my eyes were wet. Her eyes fell straight on my face, and she was a little flustered. She could only gently stroke my back. This was her usual way of comforting me. Why are you crying? Did the client make things difficult for you when you were delivering the order today? Or is it because I came back too late tonight? The mood I had just calmed down surged up again. She gently wiped the wet corners of my eyes for me. Neither? Then what is it? Mandy, Thompson couldn't ask the reason no matter what, and was as anxious as an ant on a hot pot. I sniffed and tried to force a smile. It's nothing, it's just that the disinfectant hurts too much when it touches the wound. She wiped my tears for me and asked with a dubious frown, Really? I nodded. When I was eating crawfish with her, I still planned to give her a chance to be honest. Mandy, Thompson, do you have anything you want to say to me? I held my breath, wanting to hear something from her mouth. But she shook her head, We're together every day. We must have said everything we could say already. Looking at her without the slightest intention of being honest, I only felt like I had fallen into an ice cave. If I hadn't snatched that order tonight, how long would I have been kept in the dark? But in the end, I still couldn't say the questions I had been brewing all night. I didn't know how to start. I didn't know how to question. 3 years of relationship, not a year, not a month, not a day. When I woke up the next day, Mandy Thompson had already made breakfast. She picked up the keys on the table and kissed me on the cheek as usual. I'm going to work. I stopped her as she was about to go out. Mandy Thompson. She turned to look at me. Are you free tonight? I want to talk to you. She hesitated for a moment, but finally nodded. As the door closed, the room returned to silence again. This kind of silence was like a silent beast, constantly devouring my love for Mandy Thompson. I knew she wouldn't be free tonight. Last night, when she went to the bathroom to take a shower, I looked at her phone. Tonight was the day of their upper-class cirque. Lee's biannual gathering. The organizer was Dave Richardson, and she couldn't possibly be absent. During the day, I worked as a salesman in a luxury fashion store, earning a 10% commission on every item I sold. Today, I went to work as usual, but manager Thompson temporarily transferred me to another store. Almost as soon as I changed into my work clothes, a customer came into the store. Welcome. I greeted the customer with a smile that I had practiced countless times, but it was instantly shattered when my eyes met the person who came in. I'd ordered several sets of clothes and shoes from your store before, and I'm here to pick them up today. The person who came was wearing a dark brown haute couture suit and walked up to me. He slowly took off his sunglasses, revealing a pair of light amber eyes, arrogant and impatient. Oh, right, my last name is Southwood. The person in front of me was the man who opened the door for me when I delivered the document yesterday. Probably also the Dave Richardson, those rich young ladies were talking about last night. The salesperson next to me pushed me away and showed a flattering smile. Mr. Southwood, this way, please. Dave Richardson glanced at me, and an inexplicable expression appeared on his face that I couldn't understand. He pointed at me. I only want him to serve me. The others can go to the front to greet new customers. After Dave Richardson went into the VIP lounge, manager Thompson grabbed me. He looked a little nervous. You can't offend the person inside. Just do whatever he says. Understand? The Southwood family is a VIP customer of our store, and besides, Mr. Southwood is Mandy Thompson's fiancé, so you have to be patient and make him happy, and you won't have to worry about your sales performance this month. Ms. Manley? Mandy Thompson? It was really hard for her to act out a 3-year-long drama of deep affection with me. I'm afraid that in the E&D, even she would be moved by the small favors she bestowed on me? I took a deep breath. Manager Thompson, I don't want to. Manager Thompson was instantly terrified when he heard me refuse and interrupted me. What do you mean you don't want to? Mr. Southwood specifically asked you to serve him. This is your blessing. Peter wants to go but can't. He pointed to the salesperson standing in the front hall. Some people are willing to be dogs and agree to have their dignity repeatedly trampled under the feet of the rich. But I didn't want to. The moment I found out that Mandy Thompson hadn't gone bankrupt at all, I was like a deflated balloon. Those oaths of eternal love were like needles that pierced all my motivation. Dave Richardson's impatient urging came from inside, instantly scaring manager Thompson into a dog. He lowered his voice. Is the work pressure too much? How about this? As long as you take good care of the person inside, after today, I'll apply to the higher-ups for a week's vacation for you to relax. Indeed, some messes need some time to deal with. When I pushed the door open and went in, Dave Richardson was leaning on the sofa, looking at a magazine on the bookshelf. On the coffee table next to him were exquisite pastries that Manager Thompson had just brought in and a cup of perfectly latte art coffee. Before Manager Thompson left, he kept winking at me, fearing that I would offend this moneybags in front of me. Dave Richardson took a sip of coffee and then looked up at me. He chuckled and pointed to the pair of custom-made leather boots placed in front of him. You can help me put on these shoes. I obediently squatted down and carefully arranged the details of the shoes. But the next second, I heard Dave Richardson's voice again. What I need is kneeling service. Didn't your manager Thompson tell you? I looked up and saw Dave Richardson's eyes full of contempt and a malicious smile on his face. Remembering Manager Thompson's words, I suppressed the emotions that were rising in my head. Sorry, I forgot. The workmanship of these shoes was very heavy and complicated, and Dave Richardson was deliberately making things difficult for me, so my mentality was already on the verge of collapse. Even if I was about to be tortured to madness by the man in front of me, the smile on my face didn't relax at all. The moment I put them on, Dave Richardson's voice suddenly sank. You hurt me. Before I could react, Dave Richardson kicked me in the shoulder. His strength was so great that my body fell backwards uncontrollably, and the back of my head slammed into the sharp corner of the coffee table. The intense dizziness and the pain in my head made me unable to stand up straight. Seeing my painful appearance, Dave Richardson seemed very satisfied. He still maintained his arrogant demeanor, triumphantly crossed his arms, and leaned on the sofa. Do you know why I called you over? Do you know why Mandy Thompson is with you? This is just a bet between her and her friends. They're betting on whether you're stupid enough to take out the money you worked so hard to save to help her out. Did Mandy Thompson tell you that she went bankrupt? I didn't answer him. When he said this, he paused, as if he had thought of something, and then laughed maniacally. Oh, right. Do you know that the money you worked so hard to save was all transferred to me by Mandy Thompson the second she got it? It's so pathetic. Just over 400,000, not enough for me to buy a watch or a tie. Bankruptcy is just a breakup excuse she came up with. But I didn't expect you to be so persistent and even said you would help her pay off these debts together. Don't you think it's ridiculous? As he spoke, Dave Richardson's voice was no longer as arrogant as before, but was replaced by his sneer and anger. He picked up the cup of hot coffee and was about to splash it on me. The door lock of the VIP lounge was suddenly opened from the outside. Although he managed to stop in time, some of the coffee in the cup still spilled out. How is it? Do you like the custom-made clothes and shoes? Mandy Thompson's voice was a little doting, but when she saw me, her voice stopped abruptly. I never thought that the time to talk about these things with Mandy Thompson would be in such an undignified setting. Manager Thompson followed closely behind Mandy Thompson. When he saw the anger that hadn't dissipated on Dave Richardson's face, he couldn't help but roar at me without explanation. Hank, Harrison, Jefferson, what's wrong with you? How did I tell you to do it? Get up now. Only then did I realize how embarrassed I looked. I raised my hand and supported myself on the coffee table to barely stand up, but it affected the wound from the fall last night, and it hurt so much that I clenched my fists. Mandy Thompson walked quickly towards me. She reached out to help me, but I dodged her sideways. I opened my mouth with disgust. Don't touch me. Mandy Thompson's expression froze for a few seconds, and then the color drained from her face. She turned her head with a sullen face and said to Manager Thompson, who was watching the show, "You can go out first." When the door closed, I slowly raised my eyes and saw her outfit today. After working in the industry for many years, I could tell at a glance that the fabric of the dress she was wearing and the craftsmanship of the bead embroidery were very expensive. Even the small brooch pinned to her chest, the diamond inlay craftsmanship of those sparkling diamonds, was master level. I looked at Mandy, Thompson, only feeling that my eyes were sore and unbearable. Is it fun to play with me? You rich people's gambling involves an innocent passerby. Let him experience falling from the top of the MO. Untamed to the bottom of the valley, let him take out the money he saved for many years without reservation to pay off your so-called debt. Mandy, Thompson finally panicked. She stretched out her hands in a panic, seemingly wanting to hug me into her arms like last night. No, it's not like this. She was at a loss, but she didn't know how to refute it, because she knew that everything I said was true. I took a few steps back, avoiding her show of goodwill. Mandy, Thompson, do you know who delivered the document to you last night? It was me, the fool who was being played by you in the palm of your hand. Before delivering the document, I even told you with complacency that we could have a meal of barbecue ribs today. Speaking of this, I raised my eyes and looked at the exquisite and delicate brooch pinned to her chest. At this moment, I only felt ironic. That $1,000 tip isn't enough to buy a single diamond on your brooch, is it? I tried to calm my breathing and make myself look less embarrassed, but I knew it was useless. Dave, Richardson tisked impatiently, you're just begging for money after saying so much, aren't you? After all, people like you who come from orphanages can only work hard at the bottom for the rest of their lives. Speaking of this, his disgusting gaze fell on me, and after scanning me up and down, he continued to mock. A chicken trying to become a phoenix finally managed to climb a high branch, but didn't expect his phoenix dream to be shattered so ruthlessly, so naturally he wants to extort a sum of money. Oh, right, weren't you adopted and then abandoned again? I heard you were abandoned for stealing money. Shut up! Before Dave Richardson could finish speaking, I punched him hard in the face. The person closest to you knows where your weaknesses are and how to stab you the most painfully. I had only told Mandy, Thompson about those things he said. She knew better than anyone that this was my weak spot, but she still chose to tell the distorted story to others. I was so angry that my fingertips were trembling, and the hand that punched him was numb and painful at that moment. Mandy, Thompson was stunned by the sudden punch. After she came back to her senses, she quickly protected Dave Richardson behind her. She roared at me, "What are you doing? Do you know what you're doing?" Dave Richardson was even more furious, and he picked up everything he could get his hands on the coffee table and smashed it at me. You dare to hit me? My parents have never hit me in the face. Before Dave Richardson could make another move, the door of the VIP lounge was opened again. The person who came clapped casually, his tone full of playfulness. This is wonderful. I didn't expect to see such a big show. Liv Moore's appearance quickly ended this absurd quarrel. Mandy, Thompson finally left with Dave Richardson. Before leaving, Dave Richardson told me fiercely that he wouldn't let me off easily. I sat on the sofa, only feeling cold all over. She stood beside me, her voice indifferent. Are you cold? Do you feel dizzy? I nodded gently. She chuckled and took out her phone to dial the emergency number. After hanging up, she reached out and pressed down on the wound on the back of my head. Do you know that your head is bleeding? Only then did I faintly feel that the place where I had bumped into the coffee table just now was aching. I reached out and touched the back of my neck, and my hand was covered in bright red stickiness. I closed my eyes and sighed heavily. Thank you. Her voice was faint, and I couldn't hear any emotion. I told you last night, you don't have to say thank you to me. Liv Moore and I were meeting for the second time today. The first time I saw Liv Moore was last night when I was run off the road by those rich young ladies and fell on the side of the road. After I struggled to ride my scooter, I found that the front tire of the scooter had been punctured by several nails, and even the lights of the scooter wouldn't turn on. I wanted to make a phone call for help, but when I took out my phone, I found that the phone was out of power and turned off. The night at the beginning of autumn was cold and windy, and I stood in the wind for a long time without waiting for a passerby. What was Mandy Thompson doing at this time? I thought she was probably still immersed in Dave Richardson's embrace, probably drinking expensive wine worth tens of thousands of dollars, probably thinking about how to continue deceiving me next. I looked up at the sky and seemed to see my future. Pitch black, without a clue. Just when I was at a loss, a dazzling light appeared behind me. I was overjoyed and waved towards the light. Liv Moore parked the car next to me, lowered the window, and tilted her head slightly. I could only see her extremely indifferent profile. After seeing clearly that I was stopping a valuable car, I regretted it. The sarcastic voices and car engine sounds of those who had run me off the road just now still made me feel lingering fear. They said that people can do anything when they are forced to a certain point. I thought that was probably the case with me last night. I clenched my hands nervously in my long sleeves, and my tone was sincere. Hello, can you help me? I was already prepared to be rejected at that time. But to my surprise, Liv Moore seemed very willing to help. She got out of the car, carefully checked my scooter, and shook her head with a frown. The parts of this scooter are all aging. This fall brought out all the problems. It's not worth it to take it for repairs. Why don't you just get a new one? After thinking it over and over, I felt that what Liv Moore said made sense. It was already late after she called and took care of everything for me. Watching the scooter that had been with me for more than 3 years being towed away, my heart was filled with mixed feelings. She patted the dust off her hands. Get in my car. Are you injured? I'll take you to buy some medicine. I nodded. Thank you. She paused as she closed the car door, then smiled helplessly and shook her head. You don't have to say thank you to me. She also murmured a few words, but I didn't hear what she was saying. On the way, she suddenly opened her mouth. What's your last name? Is it Lane? No, my last name is Jefferson, and my name is Hank Harrison Jefferson. That night, she repeated my name several times, and finally nodded. Hank Harrison Jefferson, it's a good name. The ambulance came quickly, but even faster than I expected. In the end, the wound on my head was stitched up with 5 stitches, and I also got 2 tetanus shots. During the anesthesia-induced coma, I dreamed of the scene when I first met Mandy Thompson. During college, to earn more money, I would usually run errands for those rich people. If they said they wanted to eat downtown South braised beef, I could bring the braised beef to them as quickly as possible under the scorching sun. These people were very rich, and a random tip would be several $1,000s. I remember the most I ever received was $50,000. Because that day there was a heavy rain, and the thunder was deafening, like a roar from the sky. Timid students were so scared that they hid in their beds and didn't dare to get out. That day, all the delivery guys were afraid to take orders. Only I went out in such bad weather. But fortunately, Mandy Thompson said that because the weather was bad, she didn't require speed. When I handed the things to Mandy Thompson intact, she pointed to the lightning and thunder in the sky and the pouring rain outside the teaching building, her voice filled with shock. It's raining so hard, aren't you holding an umbrella? I shook my head helplessly and took out the things from the waterproof bag that was wrapped layer after layer and handed it to her. It's raining so hard, it's useless for me to hold an umbrella. Mandy Thompson didn't take what she wanted right away. Instead, she scanned me up and down and sighed, then took out a pack of tissues and handed them to me, motioning for me to wipe the water droplets on my face. Before I could react, she opened the black umbrella in her hand, let's go. I'll take you back to the dorm. I was a little flattered and waved my hands unnaturally. No need, I'll wait for the rain to subside and walk back myself. You're soaked. If you don't go back and change into dry clothes quickly, you'll catch a cold and get a fever. Think about it, if you catch a cold and get a fever, wouldn't that order be snatched away by others? At that time, Mandy, Thompson knew best how to grasp my thoughts. It was as if she knew what I was thinking and worrying about. When I returned to the downstairs of the men's dorm, she kept reminding me, remember to take a hot shower when you get back to the dorm and don't catch a cold. When she turned to leave, I stopped her. You can always look for me if you need anything in the future. Because you give generously enough. But I didn't say the second half of the sentence. She nodded with a smile and then disappeared into the heavy rain. A burst of thunder outside the window woke me up from my dream. It was like a dream, as if I had returned to the beginning of the tragedy. I turned on my phone, and in just an instant, the messaging app messages turned into 99 plus. I didn't need to look to know who sent them. Clicking into the messaging app chat with Mandy, Thompson, my screen filled with her apologies. I'm sorry, but my feelings for you over these years have been real. Things aren't as Dave Richardson said. Wait for me to come home, and I'll explain everything. ICA. Me home, but I didn't see you. Where are you? Please, can you meet me? Olivia, Liv Moore is not a good person. Don't listen to anything she says, and don't have any contact with her. I read each message, trying to see Jenny's heart beyond these thin words. Even now, she was still lying. I typed on the screen, word by word, is it because Olivia, Liv Moore won't play along with your dirty tricks that you all treat her like an outsider? I had heard Olivia, Liv Moore's name from Jenny several times before. That was before Jenny faked her bankruptcy, and it was also the beginning of her toying with me. Back then, Olivia, Liv Moore was riding high, and no one knew when she had appeared. By the time everyone realized it, Olivia, Liv Moore's tentacles had already penetrated all walks of life. After Jenny came home, she always looked bitter and resentful, and often got dead drunk. I heard her on the phone while I was making hangover tea for her. She had the speaker on, and I heard a voice on the other end, gnashing its teeth. Reliable source says that Olivia, Liv Moore's cash flow comes from gambling on stones. The capital return is extremely slow. With such a weak backing, we can bring her down at any time. Jenny seemed to agree with this approach. Okay, let's have a meeting tomorrow to discuss it further. I drank a little too much today, and my head hurts. After she hung up the phone, I brought the hangover soup to her. She sighed, turned off the phone screen, and drank the soup in front of her. I was puzzled. Why can't you work with Olivia, Liv Moore? What's wrong with a win-win situation? Jenny seemed to be drunk, and her words were particularly harsh. Someone from her low berth has no right to sit at the negotiating table with us. The words low berth pierced my heart. This topic was as sensitive as a landmine, blowing all the words I wanted to say into pieces. The air was silent for a long time before Jenny realized she had said something. She shouldn't have. She hurriedly explained, that's not what I meant. Everyone says that people tell the truth when they're drunk, and when I was younger and more hot-blooded, I always refuted these age-old views, but I never thought that these words weren't also from the bottom of their hearts. Looking back now, I guess only fools in love believe drunken ramblings. A cheerful ringtone from my phone interrupted my thoughts. Looking down, it was Mandy, Thompson. Perfect. I had something to say to her, too. Mandy, Thompson, tomorrow at 1:30 p.m. at the apartment. We'll talk face to face. Before the other person could speak, I hung up the phone. I wasn't going to let anyone get the best of me. At the very least, I wanted to get back all the money I had worked so hard to save over the years. Are you hungry? Do you want something to eat? Olivia, Liv, Moore held some snacks and gently opened the door of the hospital room. I was startled by the sudden movement. After seeing who it was, I relaxed a little. She invited me to eat, but she didn't eat anything herself. Aren't you eating? She adjusted the silver-rimmed glasses on her nose, and her gaze passed through the lenses, eventually landing on my wrist. She slightly curled her lips and then shook her head. I followed her gaze and finally focused on the red string on my wrist. She pointed to the red string tied with a copper coin on my wrist. This bracelet is unique. Who gave it to you? I've had it since I was a child, she asked. How much do you remember about your childhood? I tilted my head and thought about it seriously. Probably after being adopted, around 8 years old, she nodded. Then there was another silence. After a long time, she cleared her throat twice, breaking the awkwardness in the air. She glanced at me, then quickly looked away. I need a marriage partner to manage my business with me. Are you willing? I choked on the water I was drinking. Cough. She hurried to my side, gently patting my back to help me catch my breath. I picked up a tissue on the table and wiped my mouth, then asked in disbelief, Are you serious? Her cheeks were a little red, and her voice was softer than usual, but she nodded firmly. Of course. A businesswoman's word is her bond. But I wasn't willing. The taste of being hurt was too painful. I had known Mandy Thompson for 6 years and had been in love with her for 3. She spent 2 years winning me over, personally weaving one happy cradle after another for me. But in the end, it was just a dream. Not to mention that I had only known Liv, Moore for a few days. Right now, I just want to get my money back. Of course, if I could teach those people a lesson or give them some trouble, I would be very happy to do so. But I had no power or influence. How could I compete with Mandy, Thompson, and the others? Dave, Richardson's words were rough, but they made sense. Someone like me from the bottom of society, even if I worked hard my whole life and saved money, probably wouldn't have as much as Dave Richardson's watch. Olivia, Liv, Moore seemed to see my hesitation. Her voice was unhurried. I know what you're thinking. Hank, Harrison, Jefferson, I can help you. I looked up in confusion. I saw her take out a thick stack of documents from behind her. This file contains all the evidence of Dave Richardson's company evading taxes, signing shadow contracts, concealing income, fabricating transactions, and overpaying employees through transactions. Olivia, Liv, Moore was still talking non-stop, but from the moment she took out these documents, if only to get revenge on Dave Richardson, it would be worth it. Olivia, Liv, Moore started from scratch and managed to reach her current position alone, and even offered such sincerity just to marry me. If I refused again, I would seem a little coy like a girl. I gently pressed my hand on the hand that was flipping through the documents, and in her delighted gaze, I slowly said, The 15th of next month is a good day. Let's get married. Olivia, Liv, Moore and I got our marriage license quickly. But at the moment I got the marriage certificate, I suddenly thought that I had also urged Mandy, Thompson about marriage before. But she always had a lot of reasons to shirk, and sometimes even had arguments about marriage. I thought she wasn't ready to get married, or that she found the licensing process cumbersome. But I didn't expect that pushing it off again and again was already her attitude. But before the wedding, I still had some things to do. When Mandy, Thompson came, I was packing clothes. Of course, I wasn't packing mine, I was packing hers. This apartment was only about 50 square meters, but I bought it on installment payments during college. That's why I had to take orders even under the scorching sun, wind, and rain. Because of the misfortune of my childhood and the brief warmth from my family, I morbidly pursued wanting a complete home. I was thinking that if Mandy, Thompson stubbornly refused to leave, then I would just throw all her things into the trash can downstairs. Anyway, Miss Manley definitely wouldn't be used to wearing these simple linen clothes. She grabbed my wrist, her voice pleading. No, I broke free from her hand without any effort. You came at the right time. Take all these things away and return my $453,200 to me. I believe that this amount of money is not a difficult thing for Miss Manley. She stood there, her eyes red, looking pitiful. Do you have to be so cruel? Hank, Harrison, are you not giving me any room? Even today, she was still blaming me for not leaving her any room. My blood rushed to my head, and I was trembling with anger. Amanda, Mandy, Thompson, are you out of your mind? Didn't I give you a chance? That night, I asked you if you had anything to say to me. How did you answer me? Do I need to help you remember? She took a deep breath, as if making a final struggle. If I said that nothing happened between Dave Richardson and me, would you believe it? I laughed in anger and raised my hand to give her a resounding slap. Do you believe it yourself when you say that? Are you trying to tell me that you two were face to face in the room, blowing up balloons with condoms all night? Amanda, Mandy, Thompson, I was stupid, I was foolish. Knowing that we were from different worlds, I still chose to believe you and said everything from the bottom of my heart. You knew how much those childhood experiences hurt me, but you still told Dave Richardson everything without reservation. You even twisted the facts and let him say those things that could hurt me the most. Amanda, Mandy, Thompson was speechless. She opened her mouth, but in the end, she didn't even dare to refute. She sat on the sofa, seeming to know that she was in the wrong. The usually sharp-tongued she was now letting me scold and beat her. She took out a bank card and put it on the coffee table. There's $1.5 million on the card. The extra million is my compensation to you. The password is your birthday. I put the card on the coffee table in my pocket, then threw all of Amanda, Mandy, Thompson's things out the door. I pointed to the door, finally being tough in front of her for once. Get out immediately. Get as far away as possible. Her footsteps suddenly stopped, and she leaned on the door frame, unwilling to move another step. I heard that Olivia Liv Moore has been investigating Dave Richardson's company recently and has obtained some substantial evidence. I've been to Olivia Liv Moore's company several times, but her secretary always said she wasn't in the company. If possible, could you arrange a meeting between me and Olivia Liv Moore? Hearing this, I finally understood. That was her purpose for coming here today. She used to look down on Olive. Liv Moore so much, but for Dave Richardson, she could even condescend to ask Olivia Liv Moore to meet her. I snorted coldly, feeling only irony. That's your purpose for coming here today, isn't it? Why should I help Dave Richardson? I pointed to the gauze wrapped around my head, where the wound was now throbbing with pain. The stitches on my head haven't been removed yet. Olivia Liv Moore and I made a deal. As for the evidence, she has given me full authority to handle it. I will personally fax a copy to the IRS. I knew you were behind this. A person suddenly rushed out of the dark stairwell, knocking me down like a runaway dog. The back of my head hit the ground hard, and a wave of dizziness washed over me. He frantically waved his fists, hitting me again and again. The pain in my body forced me to fight back with all my strength. Amanda, Mandy, Thompson grabbed Dave Richardson, trying to stop his crazy actions. But she seemed afraid that Dave Richardson would lose his mind and hit her, too, so she didn't use much force. At this time, Dave Richardson had already lost his mind, desperately trying to kill me, wanting to satisfy his homicidal pleasure, out of control. In the end, Dave Richardson was controlled by the bodyguards who arrived in time with Olivia Liv Moore. Olivia Liv Moore had always appeared in front of me with a gentle image. I had never seen Olivia, Liv, more angry. When she saw the scratches on my face, her usually calm and restrained face was terrifyingly gloomy. Her sharp eyes swept over Dave, Richardson. I was going to give you a few more good days, but now it seems like you don't need them. At this time, Dave, Richardson finally realized the seriousness of the matter. His legs went weak, and he collapsed on the ground, his eyes instantly becoming blank. Olivia, Liv, Moore took me back to the hospital again. After the wound was treated, she sat beside me and sighed deeply. I was a little confused. What's wrong? She glanced at me, then shook her head, revealing a comforting smile. It's nothing. You should rest first. I have things to deal with at the company. Before leaving, she finally said the words she had been hesitating for a long time. Tony Lane, you have to learn to protect yourself. In an instant, I was stunned, and even my breathing spasmed for a few seconds. Tony Lane. How did she know my former name? But before I could call her back, she disappeared from my sight. I was adopted by a couple with less affluent financial conditions when I was 8 years old. Before the adoption, the director Miller told them that I had lost all my previous memories due to illness and that I might become an idiot in the future. But they still insisted on adopting me. When I was in the orphanage, Director Miller gave me the name Tony Lane. But after being adopted, they gave me a new name, Hank Harrison Jefferson. Undeniably, they treated me very well at first. Even if the family conditions were not so affluent, they would still take a portion of their salary to buy me beautiful dresses, delicious snacks, and the most popular toys at that time. And I was also very competitive when I went to school, and I could get a small red flower awarded by the teacher every day. Whenever I returned home, my adoptive mother would take off the small red flower stuck on my wrist and then transfer it to a standard letter paper. As time went by, the small red flowers awarded by the teacher filled one sheet of paper after another. My adoptive parents looked at the wall full of small red flowers and were so happy that they couldn't close their mouths. I thought I would continue to be happy like this, until the year I entered the second grade of junior high school, my adoptive parents had their child. That day, I waited at the school gate as usual for my adoptive father to pick me up. I waited from the crowded school to when it was empty, from why tonight, from being full of joy to being full of sorrow. That familiar scooter never appeared in my sight. By the time I realized that no one would pick me up today, it was already 8:30 in the evening. When I knocked on the door of my house, the adoptive mother who opened the door still had a lingering smile on her face. But the moment she saw me, that smile instantly disappeared. I was thirsty in the middle of the night, and when I got up to find water, I heard my adoptive parents discussing something. I gently walked to the door of their bedroom and heard the content of their argument. The adoptive mother's voice sounded very irritable. I used to think that we wouldn't have our children in this lifetime, so we went to the orphanage to adopt him, but who knew this would happen now? The adoptive father's voice also sounded very helpless. Then what should we do? Tell me, what should we do now? The money earned at home can't afford 2 people. It's already difficult enough to raise one. The always kind adoptive mother seemed to have changed into a different person. Why don't we abandon him? Abandon him? With what reason? Just say that he's not clean, that he steals things. Where's that necklace you gave me before? Find it! Put it in his school bag later, and put some scattered cash in too. I quietly went back to bed. When they gently opened the door, I opened my eyes in the darkness. With the faint moonlight from outside the window, I saw them put the money and the gold necklace into the compartment of my school bag. Later, I was abandoned as a matter of course. When I returned to the orphanage, Director Miller was also ashamed of me. To this day, I still remember the look of disappointment on his face. Children in orphanages are abandoned more or less because of personality problems, but you? Why did you have to steal? I told these things to my former good friend, but he didn't believe me. These are just things you made up, right? The director Miller said you were a thief, stealing money and necklaces. That's why you were abandoned. I don't want to play with you. You're a bad kid. If I had never received happiness, then I wouldn't pursue it. I would just think it was fate. But I had received it. I looked at the faint moonlight outside the window, just like many years ago, when my adoptive parents put the necklace and money into my school bag. I looked down at the copper coin on my wrist, and a scene suddenly appeared in my mind that had never appeared in my memory before. Olivia, Liv, Moore's sentence, Tawny Lane, you have to learn to protect yourself, and the bright girl in the sudden memory constantly overlapped and finally merged. I finally remembered the lost memory of my childhood due to illness. At that time, I had a persistent high fever and was lying in the hospital all the time. The director Miller brought Olivia, Liv, Moore to the hospital to see me. Once, Olivia, Liv, Moore said that this bracelet was her amulet and that she couldn't take it off for the rest of her life, or she would have bad luck. At that time, I laughed at her for bragging, and I didn't believe it. I wanted her to take off the bracelet to break the lie she said. But at this time, she tearfully took off the copper coin bracelet that she had been wearing on her wrist and put it on me herself. Don't you like this the most? I'm giving it to you now. Get well soon. Tawny Lane, you have to learn to protect yourself. She gave me her amulet. I nodded laboriously, but I felt uncomfortable all over. She stubbornly said that she was going to buy me medicine, but she never came back. Later, I got better, but I lost all my previous memories because of this illness. I didn't remember Olivia, Liv, Moore, and I didn't remember the origin of the copper coin bracelet. I only remembered that many police officers came in and out of the orphanage, and some police officers came to ask me where I last saw the little girl in THE photo. I shook my head blankly. I don't know her. During that time, Director Miller was also in tears all the time. If I hadn't made an exception to take her out, she wouldn't have been abducted by human traffickers. At that time, I didn't understand what Director Miller was saying. I only felt that he seemed very sad. But now, I understood. I squatted on the ground, feeling only a dry throat, buried my head in my arms, and tears flowed out uncontrollably. In an instant, I only felt that fate was playing tricks on me. I couldn't sleep all night. I wanted to call Olivia, Liv, Moore, but I was worried that I would disturb her. I closed my eyes, but I didn't expect the memories to be clearer and even penetrate my bones. When the first ray of sunlight shone on the ground, I couldn't wait to walk out of the hospital. When I chased after Olivia, Liv, Moore's company, she was still holding a multinational video conference. Olivia, Liv, Moore was startled when she saw me. After saying a few words in a language I didn't understand, the meeting was suspended. She was still as she used to be, with a faint expression, but with a smile hidden in the corner of her eyes. She turned her head to look at the clock hanging on the wall. So early. Have you had breakfast? I'll take you downstairs to eat after I finish the meeting. If you're hungry, I'll have the secretary send it up. I interrupted her. Olivia, Liv, Moore. I remember everything. Looking at her somewhat puzzled eyes, I pointed to the copper coin red string on my wrist. What I'm saying is this. She was stunned, and soon, tears welled up in her eyes. For many years after the wedding, I didn't dare to ask her what she had experienced after being abducted back then. Looking at her current achievements, I could only rely on my imagination to guess. I hoped that she had met good people who had rescued her. But if she had met kind people, then they would have come back to find me. But we were able to reunite ONL. Why after so many years? This alone was enough to overturn all my previous beautiful guesses. Her hesitant behavior in front of her quickly aroused her suspicion. But Olivia, Liv, Moore seemed to see what I was thinking, and just said lightly, actually, I realized after walking through the swamp that it's so good to be alive in the sun now. Bit of good when her life came to an end. A sentence suddenly came to Sarah Green's mind: live this life to the fullest, be sincere and kind.